Okay, thanks for joining us, guys. We're sitting here on Zoom with Pete Thomas. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing good. I'm in the Corona lockdown mode here at home, like just pretty much like everybody else. Downtown
Yeah.
Chicago is a ghost town.
So you're over in Chicago.
We're in the financial district. We've been in the center of downtown Chicago for 40 years.
Okay. Do you want to give us a quick background on you and your company?
Sure. I'm a second generation floor trader. I started on the floor filling paper in the silver pit and went through the Bunker Hunt era, filled paper for him, and then moved upstairs and started a clearing operation of my own, and subsequently moved over to INTLFC Stone, which was the 49th biggest dealer in the world, and went from Stone over to, was fortunate enough to be able to join Zaner, and we've just been going great guns ever since. I miss being in the Treasury building, but it's all right. I've been enjoying it for some time now. Zaner is a family-owned business. We run an international metals desk that covers gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium, and occasionally, when we've lost our mind, we'll trade a little rhodium. But
that market's pretty wild, for sure.
What you think? You call in. What's the bid offer? Oh, we're 600 wide. You're like, what?
I saw it today. I was looking at it, it's like down $2,000, and then yesterday
was 3,000. Yeah, it was 3,000. $3,000 spread. I was you're like, what am I doing with this? Why did I buy this? It's just, oh my God, But it's been fun. It's been real interesting. We invented a platform decade and a half ago for hedging, and all the guys in our business, because the contracts are so big, a lot of our guys don't have an exact 25,000 pound allotment per load, so they needed an offset. So we took copper down to the pound, so a guy can hedge exactly whatever he's loaded in the truck. And we sit down with because copper's difficult to hedge, and you really have to have a lot of background, and a lot of technical work has to be done so that you can enter the market at a profitable point. So we have a group that does that, and it's worked out really, really well for us. But
Pete, not to cut you off, but so I'm a third generation scrap guy, and I think there's a lot of people that will watch this that don't hedge, right?
Oh,
the only thing I've ever hedged is platinum group metals, because we buy catalytic converters, and we buy a decent enough amount that if we don't hedge, we can get caught in a bad way. And so that's the only experience I have as a scrap recycler hedging.
Sure.
I know you and I have kind of communicated back and forth, so I would love, just for you to expand as much, just for my knowledge, as for anybody that watches this, and just explain to the average scrap guy that doesn't hedge today, how he can hedge or she can hedge, and the advantages, disadvantages of it, and kind of what that market looks like. And that I think that would give everybody a ton of value.
Absolutely. And you know what, the thing is that we look at the entire market too. And so, for example, Ecuador came out today and said, oh, by the way, we're shutting down all our mines. Just totally unannounced. Everybody went, really? Then Peru announced the day before that they were shutting down. Now, Peru is the second largest producer of copper in the world. And everybody went, okay. So then we scrambled over and looked at the residual copper in the warehouses in China. All right. And we said, well, wait a minute. They're down about 4%. So we're seeing the mines slow down production, but we're also seeing the stockpiling go down because the ports are closed. Chinese ports are still closed. There's ships bobbing up and down on anchor now, 3 weeks with millions of dollars of product sitting out there. It hasn't come in. So you're getting this bizarre ebb and flow. And you guys especially, you're on the ground. You guys don't see that big global picture.
For sure.
And that's what's been tossing you guys around on these strange waves. 1 minute we have they announced, for example, about 4 o'clock this morning, they came out and said, oh, by the way, Europe is awash in base metals. We have more zinc than we've had since, I wrote it down. We're up 4.3% in stockpiles across Europe. We have more zinc than we've had since the beginning of August, nickel, tin. So all these industrial plating metals that are going to be used in conjunction with copper, we just have tons of it around. So what happens? Well, we feel that pressure, right? And when we see that pressure, and we know guys like yourself are going to have to be delivering, you're expecting loads coming in, where do you want to be? You want to be short. You want to sell that market into that pressure with the idea that I own 60, 80, 100 tons of copper right now. I sell it on my tornado account, which means I've sold it. I'm short, as it's referred to. As that market comes down from the pressure of the inventories and the lack of usage, which is critical right now. Here's something for you guys that I want you to think about. Right now, car sales in China are down 79.1%. 80, close to 80% of their car sales are just no more, and there's no projection for when they're going to start again. Now, if you look at the real numbers, and you guys know this better than I do, 18 to 49 pounds is the top end is the amount of copper in your average vehicle. All right. So you look at that and you go, wait a minute, they're not selling any cars. So we know the demand is going to be extremely low. So that pressure is going to continue to come into that copper market. At 250 and 260, I was screaming at people on the air, on our podcast, all our hedges going, guys, start selling what inventory you got and what your forward obligations are. A lot of guys will come in and have orders from construction companies, from electrical wire, twisted wire, strand wire users, all of that going out to December sometimes. Right now it's a different situation, but so they'll go out and they'll say, well, geez, if it's going to be lower, I don't think we're going to do anything but stay short and just let these prices go down so that what we own, as it's losing its value, will be making on our short side. Our account will be making the money in that. You don't make, if you're hedging properly, you don't make a profit. You shouldn't make a penny. Anybody that tells you that they're going to make you money hedging, hang up the phone. Just run,
Well, it's essentially a way to preserve the value in your material that you've already committed to purchase,
right?
Committed to deliver. You're just preserving the value in a
while
down
it's
market.
It's in your possession. Well, exactly right. Very well put. Here's the other thing that'll make your business grow. There's two sides to this. You got a guy comes in, let's say we're trading, I'm looking to see if we're going to test $2. If we test $2, you and I are probably talking, we'll do an overview for you guys and kind of give you some idea where we think it could go if it takes that out. Let's say, for example, somebody comes in and says, we've been doing business. I know you guys are second generation. You've been around for a long time. You've got a manufacturer, a guy making washing machines comes in and says, hey, I'm going to need 100 tons of copper over the next quarter. All right. And you're like, okay, what should I be doing? Well, we look and we go, well, we're at a base here. There's a fair amount of product, but not a lot. Maybe we should buy a going out, with the idea that then I can bid on that contract that I'm going to deliver to. My company is going to deliver to that contract. I'm going to give him an estimate of a price that I'm going to deliver at. Now you can lock it in. There's no guessing anymore. You're buying it at $2. You're obligated to deliver it. Let's say $2.25, $2.30, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't care. It doesn't
you almost
matter.
want the market to go down at that point, as long as you have the ability to source the material.
Well, I mean, absolutely, but the thing is that at that point, though, remember, you're rock solid now. You don't care you don't care. The whole idea is that when you go to sleep at night, you want to go to sleep at night. You don't want to be thinking about where the market's going to be when you get up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is that what you want to do is what's technically referred to as beta neutral. You don't care whether it goes up. You don't care whether it goes down. You fulfilled your obligation by buying it and at a lower price, and you buy it on a hedging margin, which is 4%.
Yeah.
So what that does for you is now you got that cash to work with in other fields. You want to buy some more cats? Buy away. You got more money on hand, right? You know what your yield. I mean, you could probably tell me in your sleep what your yield's going to be from the load of cats, and then you could hedge that too. You can sell those PGMs. Done. And it allows you to use the Tornado trading platform, the hedging platform, and to mitigate all that risk throughout all the levels of your company, whether you're buying and or selling. So
let's walk through it. Let's walk through it just for just as granular and as basic for anybody out there. Let's say I got a scrapyard and I buy 2 loads of copper a month. And maybe a load of number 1, a load of number 2, plus I buy some insulated copper wire and whatever. Just so I can like I said, this is as much for my understanding as it is for the audience.
You betcha. Now, where did you pay for it? Give me a hypothetical.
Let's say today I bought it for $1 a pound, right? I bought number 1 for $1, and I bought this is just arbitrary numbers. I bought number 1 for $1. And I bought number 2 for, say, 20 cents less, so I paid 80 cents a pound.
80 cents on it. Okay, fine.
So, and the market today is where it's at, 220.
220, right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, and let's say I anticipate I buy about the same amount every month, right? Month on month. So, from just the average guy standpoint, would I then call you or access the Tornado platform and say, I'm going to buy 40,000 pounds of number 1. I'm going to buy 40,000 pounds of 2.
Right.
Here's what my anticipated sale price is, or am I just hedging it off of the market that day? So if it fluctuates down, I get coverage so that when I do actually sell it.
In PGM, silver, and gold, that's what you do, all right? Mm-hmm. In copper and silver are sort of like the cats. They're the kind of skitty market. I mean, they'll drop and run just boom at the drop of a hat. So what we have to do is, before you jump on that load and sell it, all right, or at that point, we have to take a look at the market and see where you are in relationship to the market. That's very, very important. If this market is tremendously weak and you're taking product in, right? Mm-hmm. You want to be selling because that price is going to go down and you stand a good chance of losing some money. If we're seeing good potential, for example, the infrastructure bill, let's take a look at that. All right. We have to be aware of what's going on in the world today in order to protect you and to protect your company, all right? And if all of a sudden we see a nice solid push for that bill to pass, let me tell you something. Copper's going to go from 218 to 280. First up, there's going to be no in between. It's just going to keep running. And we don't want to sell your load if we're going to be walking into that. So what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll take a look at the overview of what's going on. Right now, today, we know that Chile's main mines, 1 and number 2, are closed. We know that Peru is closed. We know that Ecuador is closed, right? We know that no product is going into China because the ports are still closed. I would not want you to sell here. I would not want you to sell here because everyone's seen all the bad news. It's in the market. We've broken 40, 50 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it holds a little bit or if it's going to get weaker. You and I will come to that decision at this time, right? If we're looking at 215, 216, and the volume's good and the market's been holding well, I don't want to expose you to getting short right in there. There's a good chance that with everything as horrible as it is, that this market has only broken 50 cents, let's say. I don't know if I want to see if it's gonna go much lower. Why not just leave it the way it is, do it the way you always do it, all right? On the flip side, if you're going to be buying loads because you have obligations in the future, and we're down around these lows, and we start to see the coronavirus numbers come down, and we start to see Wuhan, we start to see New York, Italy, we have to watch, Spain, we have to watch. We start to see those morbidity numbers starting to come down, and we start to see that cycle getting a little better. Hey, you're going to see a rally here. You're going to see a good rally here. Maybe we should be buying out into the future a little bit to mitigate the possibility of you paying more for that in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I mean, so that would be basically the scrapyard, the guy that's selling the material, whether it's the owner or the purchasing manager, whatever. He's dealing directly with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, enter this in. I'm going to be sitting on 80,000 pounds of copper, and we're going to,
right.
We need to move it, or
And here's the problem, because we've been doing this so long, people always panic when we say, don't trade. They go, wait a minute, how can we guys are not making money? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you know what? You're going to be with us for 20 years. We want to make sure that you open the doors every day and you turn the lights on. And if we're telling you to put a position on in going into some type of political event, we're not doing you a service. We're not giving you that value added. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. So taking all of that into account, I hope I'm not making this sound too complicated.
No. I mean, that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do this. Is like I said, I'm always on a quest for any of our businesses, is to acquire knowledge. I mean that.
Sure.
And the reason I like the video side of it is I'm getting knowledge and we can pass it on to everybody else.
Absolutely.
And if that helps you promote your business, so be it. I mean,
oh yeah,
the more the merrier. But the reality of it is whether they use you or somebody else or whatever, just the understanding the ability of how to be a better operator or how to take some of the risk out of your business or whatever that is. Like that's super important. And whether you're in the scrap business or any business for that matter.
Well, and here's another thing that both of you should consider too is this. If you add stability to the global business, to what's going on in American copper, if we have more guys hedging and mitigating risk, it adds stability across the board to the market, you have a better market. If you have guys not going belly up and you have a firm, strong market, the business is going to do nothing but get bigger because it's firmer, it's stronger. The equity, the money is rolling through it quicker. I mean, these are all very important things that are going to influence you. So what you're doing now by creating a video, to show people globally what's occurring in copper, locally what's going on, tools that they can use for hedging to mitigate risk. All of these things will eventually come back to in a myriad of ways.
What's your take on it? I mean, I think, and this is just my experience, but what's your take on it from people that say, the way I hedge is by buying as the market comes down, I still buy, and so you're averaging your price down,
right,
just organically, versus actually, say, using a hedging tool and going that route. Just say my hedge is I have the ability to keep the lights on and buy $1 copper just like I can buy $2 copper. So then when I do get that bounce, I'm in the material at the correct price, and
hey, look at Economics 101, right? Dollar cost averaging, DCA. Everybody learns it. You know why? Because it works. I mean, that's just how it is. The question is here with dollar cost averaging is, at what level do you start buying? If we're in a boiling hot market, when we went through 220 and started headed for 240, if you got in the way of that, you got hurt. I mean, that market was running. The last thing you wanted to do was start selling a product. You wanted to, start accumulating, because I knew we were going 240, 250.
It felt like we were going to $3. I mean, we were on the cusp of going.
It had the smell of $3, didn't it? Yeah. It really did. Yeah.
It was on the trajectory, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, I like that. But you know what? Once it hit that 280, remember it was tickling 280, 285, back and forth. The volume started coming down, and I was like, wait a minute, less people are willing to buy up here, And I reassessed, and I looked at it. And I said, what we refer to as open interest, the amount of people that are involved in the contracts that are hedging at that time. We see that open interest coming down. That market's going down. Not a matter of if or maybe. Less people are putting money in the market. So we kind of pulled back, and we put out what we call an SOS to all of our guys and said, be careful here. The market feels heavy. Don't overcommit right now. If you want to do a 20 or 30% hedge right in here, if it goes to $3, okay, you're out 15 cents, but if it goes to 250, you're out 30 cents. So it's a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Yeah. And as it turned out, we happened to be right that time. Yeah.
Do you feel like that on the scrap end, we pride ourselves on the recycling and the green side of the business, but the reality of it is a lot of us are, especially guys like Nick and I, that what we do is we're basically commodities traders.
Oh, for sure.
With the production side of it as a separate side, but we spend our days buying and selling and buying and selling, and that's
all day.
That's what consumes a lot of my day on the scrap side of our business.
Of course it does.
So it's more of a trading, and as that gets more sophisticated, the trading side of it, it feels like that's the trajectory. That's where it's going. Is the more sophisticated versus just dollar cost averaging. Buy some more scrap. Let's get the price down and try and work our way back into it.
And you know where most of it's done? Right here, on your phone.
Yeah.
On Tornado. We have guys. They're backing the truck up and loading it, and they're sitting there on their phone doing their hedge. And that's it. And they're done. The load's been sold, or the hedge has been made, or they bought it before, they bought it cheaper, and they're selling the load, and they're getting the cash, put into their account, of which we'll bank wire these same day.
I think it's going to be cool with bringing you in, Pete, to kind of talk about the market, talk about copper, talk about the PGMs, is our customers. We talk about the market every Monday. We say, hey, it's down.
Great.
Seems like every Monday we're like, it's down with everything going on.
Someday that's going to change. Someday
we'll have Monday we're like, it's up 20 cents from last Monday. But
Well,
but we'll be able to, you give us that worldwide insight that helps me personally, and then we can share that with our catalytic converter customers.
That's great. That's great. Let me tell you guys something. When Putin and Nicholas got in that beef, the greatest trader in the world in metals is Putin. Anybody that tells you different is an idiot. All right, this guy is like the fox in the henhouse, man. I mean, when those Siberian mines are cranking, and you and I both know what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they're going, and all of a sudden he goes, I think the state-run bank should have some of that palladium, and you go, oh no, because we're going higher, baby, because he's taking it right off the market, and in the meantime, he's long the market in Switzerland. And nobody knows he's got positions on. He's just raking it in, and everybody's like.
Oh, and I feel that's the same thing he's doing in oil right now.
You nailed it, dude. Yeah. Absolutely.
What's happening?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very astute call. It's exactly right. And oh, by the way, guys, that's what you're trading also. And anybody that doesn't understand that, if you're in the copper business, you're in the diesel business. There's no in between. You're moving product, and you better keep an eye on that needle that says E or F, because there's money going out either way there. So that's very astute of you, and that's exactly what happened. And they kissed and made up the other day, and we went from $19 to $25 a barrel. 2 days, and everybody went, what happened?
The biggest single day increase in history.
Yeah, and we're up like 2.5% this morning. So very good call, and I think that goes to what you're saying, which is that international flavor really does percolate down to you guys. It influences what you do, and it goes as far as this. We have probably one of the greatest presidents we've ever had in our lifetime. When he said, okay, we're going to shut everything down, except we're going to give exclusions to scrappers, and everybody went, who the hell are they? And he goes, oh, by the way, I make buildings. I know that steel and copper and aluminum are the backbone of this nation. We need to have that moving. I was so glad when I saw that exemption come through. I said, thank God my people can still earn a living,
100%. Yeah. I mean, you can poo-poo all the essential this, essential that you want to, but there's a few industries and that really are, say, the backbone of the infrastructure side. And there's a lot of industries out there that just don't get the recognition. I'm not saying even about the scrap business. We are what we are. We obviously, most people in it love it for what it is, but there's a lot of
most people are like you, man. Most guys are second, third generation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they love it, absolutely. But let's just say don't poo-poo it either. I mean, what you guys do is vital to the health of this nation, and you were recognized by the White House for the first time.
Yeah.
So
it's a big deal for the industry.
Yeah.
Sure. So let's pivot a little bit,
sure,
Pete, and give us your outlook. What's your 30 days, 60, 90, what do you see on the material, the metals that you're the most familiar with?
Right now, let's go over we do an awful lot of gold, but I don't think it's what I want to discuss here. I want to drill down to what you guys are using day in and day out.
Okay.
So let's stay with the PGMs. I do a lot of stuff for Bloomberg on PGMs, and let's talk about something that hasn't been touched upon enough right now, which is the Green Initiative of the Communist Chinese Party. The Green Initiative, for some reason, China said, you know what? Think about this number. 1.2 million people died last year in China from respiratory illness caused by pollution. What? I mean, that's a staggering number, all right? So they said, we think we'd rather not see what we're breathing. Maybe the air shouldn't be this brown color, you know? So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a law that all the trucks, all the cars actually have to have these things called catalytic converters on them. I mean, these guys are literally sawing the catalytic converters off, pouring number 2 diesel and mixing it 50-50 on their motorcycles and their delivery trucks. And this boom of this purple smoke is just running out the back of the trucks, and you're like going, oh my God, wait a minute, you know? And that's what they're used to. And finally, the Communist Party said, you know, we can't afford to lose 1 million, 2 million people a year because we don't have AutoCADs.
Yeah.
So that is what caused our shortage. All right. All of a sudden, the biggest consuming nation outside of America said, we're going to start putting catalytic converters on our vehicles. And we ended up looking around going, there isn't enough stuff around. Wait a minute, what are we going to do?
Was that in 2019 when that went down? When did that happen?
About a year and a half ago.
Okay, and that's why you saw that huge spike on the price of catalytic scrap.
And didn't stop.
Yeah.
Did you notice how we got the spike? And normally when you get a spike, you get that drop. You know, the market gets tired. It just never stopped. It just kept right on going. And any product, and you guys saw this more than I did, I'm sure. Anytime you had any product on hand, somebody was calling me. What do you got? You know, what do you got on hand?
Yeah.
And I know personally, I have some NDAs in place. I can't talk about some of our customers, but an auto manufacturer that I'm familiar with was like, we call them buttons, 50 ounce palladiums, and you know, how many buttons you got? Send me 10, send me 20. We were like, you're a 2-lot buyer, 3-lot buyer. What are you talking about? Well, I need 1,000 ounces. You're like, what? You know, and you know, the orders.
Ahead of the curve.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, exactly right. They knew their demand was going to increase, and by golly, it did. So, you know, taking that into account, and as this coronavirus starts to subside and we start to see car sales go from 90% down, and also, by the way, the Chinese stock market's down 80%. So all the people that had lost millions and millions of dollars, they aren't out buying cars either.
Yeah.
So those two things bumped into each other, the major events. So the consumption in China just disappeared. So I've been watching that diligently. When I start to see that come off, then I'll give you a heads up. The other thing that was very interesting, Bloomberg called me yesterday, and they said the new EPA rulings passed. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Trump has decided that the Obama ruling was a little bit high, and he's going to ease up on the amount of NO2 and CO2 emissions. So they sent me the document. It was 1,272 pages. Okay, so I didn't exactly get through it last night. So I looked at it. I said, you know what I'm going to do is, here's what's going to happen. See, go with me on this, guys. See what you think. I'm saying to myself, if we get an infrastructure bill together, and I have faith in this guy running the country right now. I think we're going to get it through. And what's going to be the first thing to be in demand? It's going to be light trucks. Guys are going to be working, and they're going to be wanting to buy newer vehicles because they're going to be hauling, they're going to be on the road more, they're going to be moving more product. And so I said, all right, I'm going to read and see what the bill and how it's going to impact light trucks, because that's going to be the biggest thing. And as I looked at it, I said, okay, it looks like we're 1.5 to 2% more emissions, which is really nothing. I mean, you know, you watch the news, it was like the end of the world was coming, and it would be like 10% more pollution and blah, blah, blah. It's just not true. According to the numbers that I read, I'm looking at about 1.5. All right. Yeah. And how much is that going to affect our end? how many PGMs, how much less is going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking 2%. It's just not going to be significant because what is the last 3 years we've been averaging about a 3 to 5% deficit every year. If we didn't have you guys on the job recycling, we'd be in a real bad way. There just isn't enough product.
Especially if they keep closing down mines, because I mean, I think just like any business, and a mine is no different. You don't just turn the lights off and then turn them back on. And
exactly right.
People, and your production isn't the same as soon as you start as it was the day you stopped. It takes a while to fire those things back up and
get the guys used to working again. I mean, just getting rhythms set up, getting in and out of the locker room, I mean, just little things that eat up the clock. You're absolutely right. Very, very.
The best thing that can happen to whether it's a base metals or the precious metal side is mine closures, because I think that is going to drive pricing in and of itself when that deal does turn.
Absolutely right. And now here's the thing though. And this is why we've been so choppy. And this is what you were asking. We're seeing the copper all over the place and platinum, palladium. I mean, $500 swings. Why is this happening? When I looked at, let's use Australia for an example. Right? It's a good analogy. They're gigantic iron ore producers, right? And they're all of a sudden the ports are closed in China. But they have no coronavirus. Everything's going along smoothly there. So what do they do? They're still producing. They're running their mines. They don't slow down a bit. They're just piling ore. And finally, they look around and they go, "Where are we going to put this stuff?
Yeah.
What are we going to do?" So the question is here for this show. This is the big multi-billion-dollar question. How big is that wave going to be? That yin and yang, where demand is way, way, way up, but stockpiles are real high. When are they going to meet? And you know what's going to happen? Exactly what happened right now and before. It's going to be choppy. It's going to be whippy. It's going to be very, very bizarre. You're going to have giant orders coming in to get filled, shortages happening. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be the Wild West again. Strap like a 6-gun, baby.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think there's going to be a pretty good run when it starts. It's just a matter of what that timeline looks like, and a lot of people who can hold on the longest as well. I think that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the guys that are hedging that are, which means that they have more cash on hand, and they have a little more fuel in the tank, if you will. They're going to be okay. They were short on the way down, so they didn't lose value on their products. So their companies are healthy. A lot of guys that didn't hedge, that lost tremendous amounts in rhodium and platinum and palladium, are hurting. Now we are seeing some recovery, right? We're seeing some stuff coming back here, but the question is, how soon are any of us really going to see that real demand that we were seeing before? Our president seems to think the end of this month, that we should be, getting back on our feet and getting people out to work. So going with your point, which has great validity, it takes a while for the guys to get the furnaces going again, So let's say another quarter. And we'll probably start to see that demand come back in my opinion.
So real world example for you. Let's say today a guy has to deliver a load of copper. He's committed to delivering a load of copper this month, 50,000 pounds.
Right.
And he doesn't have it hedged.
Okay.
Right? He's just sitting on the material.
Yep.
He's got a load of copper in his warehouse. He's already committed to delivering it.
Yep.
Sometime in the month of April.
Okay.
All
right. I would say right now, I would recommend for him to do nothing but what he's doing. All right, which is he owns it. It's there. Just plan on taking or making some money on the deal. But right now, market's just ambling, right? And he could either be right or wrong, and there's just it's a guess at this point. And I don't guess with other people's money, It's just it just doesn't work, So I would say at this point, between 2 and 215, this little area right in here, we're just bumping along in here, and we have no direction. There's no indicator here.
Yeah, so you're not really seeing any big upside, big downside.
No,
you're just kind of seeing that kind of calm ocean out there for now.
Yep.
It's either a big cataclysmic event happens one side or the other, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that we are seeing, just so you guys know, my guys in Singapore and also some of my European recyclers and e-waste producers and recyclers all have been getting subtle inquiries for solubles. So we're seeing some copper going out in a little bit bigger number, but nothing significant. But they're getting hits.
I will say this too, just for your own knowledge. I've got a couple of people that have inquired. They know that we have material, and they've offered above market pricing.
Nice.
Two different companies, and so that tells me that either they've committed to material they don't have, or that they're starting to feel that supply crunch. That's.
You know what? I'm going to go with the first one. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that's a very good assumption. I think they're saying, hey, I was just looking at it, 2,800, and now it's at 19. I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to use it at some point, and I'm the COO of a firm, and I'm looking and going, right now I'm halfway back. I think I'd be foolish not to step in here because I can do dollar cost averaging if it breaks.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't I buy it right here?
I think this is one last point, and you could definitely counter it by if you think I'm wrong. But if the feds push a bunch of money at small businesses, and that's all different types of small businesses, and obviously commodities traders are in that mix. If you get a big jag of money to come into the system in, say, the next 30 to 60 days, people are inherently natural gamblers, right?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, let's put it this way: in this industry, they are, but by the time they get to me, usually they've just been beat to crap. They're just tired of gambling and they don't want to gamble anymore.
I just don't wonder if there isn't going to be some kind of market moving, dollars coming in. This is why I say this is if you're going to get a loan at 3%.
Yeah.
See anybody saying, well, at 3%, I mean, that's not a big swing in platinum, palladium, rhodium, copper.
No, it's not.
It doesn't take that's a one-day movement, and you
nowadays, yeah.
Nowadays you're seeing those big movements.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Is that going to increase, or is that going to make that market more choppy than it is today?
Well, I mean, the thing is that what I'm going to be doing, if I'm a COO and I know I got a good-sized loan coming in, and I'm crunching my numbers, I think what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking out to December.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, I go at year's end, I'm saying to myself, this thing's going to be over. We're going to be, and then do a logarithmic value going out for appreciation against consumption. And I will definitely be taking some of that money and coming your way. Not even a question, and trying to get some commitment. And if nothing else, they'll be calling me going, buy me some futures, in platinum, palladium, copper, whatever, or in zinc, nickel, whatever they happen to want, because we know we're going to need it at some point. And we want to lock it in at these levels while we're at this overproduction level. And I think that makes good sense. And I'm not going to argue with you 100% on that. I mean, I think you hit it on the head. But I think we need to look just a little further down the road.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think the longer it drags out, then the longer you have to look for the return, right?
Yeah, because it goes to your point as to how soon the guys are going to be able to get up to speed. You know, hey, the mine's open, so what? You know, what's the production like? You know,
Yeah.
Dr. Davis, who is the head metallurgist of the South African platinum palladium mines, he and I chat occasionally. A very interesting guy. Hell of a glider pilot too. I used to be a pilot.
Nice.
And he and I chatted, and he says this was a month ago. I did an interview with him, released some of the information out to our guys, and he says we're closing these mines down. He said I don't care what anybody tells me. He says this disease comes through. He goes we're done. He goes I'm getting ready to just shut all this down. And that mine's 120 years old. They haven't closed in a very long time.
Yeah. Almost like a force majeure event, some sort of earth moving event.
Well, that's exactly what it was. It is a force majeure event, and you hit it right on the head. And it's a recognized force majeure event. So the insurance companies aren't real happy about that because everybody's going act of God, but now it's down to the attorneys, that's a whole other game,
So I'm super curious. Just have you ever seen in your lifetime Chicago, the city of Chicago, as quiet as it is today? Is it just almost like kind of inspiring?
I'm going to give you an analogy that's going to blow you guys away. All right, this is just so bizarre, right? Walking around on the street, there's dead pigeons all laying in the street, and you're like going, what the hell's going on? These dead pigeons all around. The pigeons eat the garbage that people throw away. The McDonald's, they throw in the garbage cans. The pigeons go and pull it out.
Yeah.
They eat. That's what they are. They're garbage eaters, man. And there's no garbage to eat. So the pigeons are dying all over the city. I mean, you're just sort of like going, it's eerie, I got on the train. There were 7 people on a train, I was like, oh man.
That's a great. I just know even our little world over here, in Idaho and Oregon, and how quiet it is, and I can just imagine those big cities that they don't ever sleep, right?
No, ever.
For the most part, and especially in like the financial districts and some areas, and then just to have it be.
It took 8 million people off the street. 8 million. I mean, that's a whole lot of action, man. It's gone. I mean, you don't even see a car. I mean, basically, the only reason you see somebody out is to get some groceries.
Yeah,
that's it. We fortunately were set up in case of this event. I mean, we even have our backup servers, in a cave, because you just never know what's going to happen, man. I mean, and we have an obligation to guys like you heads better damn well work, So we were.
I just wanted to tell you thanks, man. I appreciate the time. I can't wait. I'm thankful for Nick for setting this up.
Yeah.
Me too. And Nick's been a lot of fun too. I like giving him a hard time. We have a lot of laughs.
As good as they come, right there.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait to sit down with you whenever, as much as we can get a commitment out of you, and just walk through the markets.
Sure.
Whatever it is, once a week, once a month, whatever that day is.
Yeah.
At least just a month would be good.
Let our customers, let people know,
I mean,
viewpoint.
When you get up in the morning, why is the price this? Well, here's why. Yeah. This is what happened. This political event caused that price to occur. That's what I do, and I'll be happy to give you guys a hand with that. No worries at all, and hopefully it'll help. Also, the head of the coronavirus task force in China, Dr. Ahn, A-H-N, I did a video with him.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, you did? Okay, great. Yeah. And
so your stuff.
Oh, thanks, dude.
I follow your stuff. Yeah,
Okay, because if you could tag it to this somehow, just if we could prevent one guy from getting sick, I'd be real happy.
Okay. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
do that for sure.
Yeah, and that's a freebie, man. Just tack it on there.
Yeah, we will do everything on our end that we can to
Okay,
help.
great.
It's good
Yeah.
for the industry. It's good for the
It's good
country.
for everybody. It's good for the country, man. That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. Much appreciated, and I look forward to continuing the dialogue.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, to everybody who's the first time we've had a chance to catch up, and I'm going to try to interject as much as I can to give a little more transparency to this really craziness that's been going on, and we we're doing our best to give you some legitimate numbers, not this made up CNN stuff.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated, Peter.
We'll bring you
Okay,
back on
guys.
soon. Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Bye
Take
bye.
care.